Wow. Hopefully you didn't get too shocked and you were able to still stand after that. You're still able to exist in this world and you haven't passed on, because those were absolutely an insane conclusion to this match. Italy advanced to the round of 16 in the Euro 2024 tournament. There's a lot of criticism around this team. There's also maybe a little touch of optimism. I'm Wayne Gerard. We're going to be joined by Lorenzo Bettoni from the field, from the stadium in just a few minutes, as he's finding his place where he can record from without being completely harassed by everybody. But let's talk about what's going on, my friends. We've got a lot of comments coming in. You can keep them coming in as soon as Lorenzo gets here. But we've got a lot of positivity. Grazie a Dio, says Annoy. Not the greatest performance, but yeah, and I think that's the sentiment. I'll be speaking with Lorenzo. He told me before he got settled with everything that Spalletti was absolutely fuming. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that. Jorginho and Di Lorenzo out for the next game against Switzerland, perhaps. But speaking about who is out, it's one of the highlight reel men of tonight. That is Calafiori. He will be suspended for the double yellow card accumulation going into the match against the Swiss. A suffering group stage for the Azzurri. Yeah, par for the course. And Piccolo Pictures is back and says, disappointing stuff from the team. Poor lineup tonight, starting to worry about Spalletti's choices. Zaccagni on one side, Kies on the other in the next match. Maybe that's a nice idea. I wonder, heading into this, if Spalletti is going to revert back to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, or if he is going to be continuing on with the 3-5-2. I like both. I'm not convinced. I don't think we've seen enough to really decide, be like, oh, this is definitely the way Italy should play, because there hasn't been any consistency. We haven't really seen any type of set style yet. Spalletti's style hasn't been imposed on this team. I think it's starting to get there. That's very difficult with a national team. With that type of dynamic is very different from like club level, right? They're training every day for weeks, months. They have a preseason. There's no such thing. The training at Coverciano is a few weeks at most, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. These guys come together. But you can keep these questions and comments coming in, everybody, and throw a like up there. This is a new page that we're starting, the Football Italia YouTube, that I'm very excited about. So Giacomo says, question is to go with Retegui or back with Scamacca. And I think we'll leave that up to the floor. What does everyone out there think? I see 36 people in here right now. What do you think? Revert back to Scamacca or continue on with Retegui? I am a Scamacca guy, to be honest with you. I like Retegui. He has a brilliant goal tally for Italy. He has scored 4 goals, and compared to last season, he scored 10 total at club level with Genoa. So almost half the amount that he scored with club level, he scored in just a few appearances with Italy. So that's very interesting. Maybe that says about the players that he's playing with and alongside. Maybe when there's more quality, he's able to be a better finisher and be a better striker overall. Giacomo also says, if Italy play like this, they're going to get smoked. The Swiss will run through them and make holes like cheese. Swiss cheese, if you didn't get that pun there. It's a corny dad joke. Dunquizar says, I would go with Scamacca against the Swiss. Giacomo says, Fagioli has to start. Jorginho slows the game down too much. Interesting comment, interesting idea. Do we feel that's true, everybody? That Jorginho slows the game down too much? I think he purposely settles it and tries to dictate the tempo. Jorginho is very different from a Verratti or even a Pirlo. Very different in the sense that he will play horizontal passes more often than not. He will switch sides of attack, but he doesn't really go for like what you said here. He doesn't go for the creative ball. He's not trying to sling it all over. He's not really trying anything too risky, Jorginho. Whereas I do feel like Pirlo was that type of player. Verratti had a little bit different. He liked to advance up a little bit more. But I think that Jorginho's role is to be that anchor who just kind of plays like the simple, safe ball. Does that mean he's a great player? I don't know. He's good at doing that. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a great thing. You know, I think that Jorginho probably has a level to his game and he can't pass that. But Spalletti seems to very much like him. At Arsenal, he grew into the side over this past season. He's been doing pretty good. But back to this, that Italy lacked creativity. And that seems to be true. The trequartiste of the past, the fantasiste, those guys aren't really here. Even I thought, if you were with us for the pre-match, I thought Raspadori could be that guy. He had one pass that I think went in for a header for Bastoni, but it was the pre-pass. It was we wouldn't have been granted the assist for it, but too slow. Only after Italy went down, they finally woke up. So more of a reaction and not a true, let's take our game to Croatia and try to impose that philosophy. We haven't seen that yet. Giacomo does say Calafiori, unbelievable. Was he unbelievable aside from, I'm going to play devil's advocate because this is the aura boy, right? Everyone says aura. Was Calafiori unbelievable? Was he unreal? Or is it just the assist? If he doesn't get that assist at the end, was Calafiori's game just kind of slightly above average? I have some stats I could throw out to you for that, though. 100% aerial duels won, 93% pass accuracy, 5 clearances, 3 out of 4 accurate long balls, 3 chances created, and 1 assist, along with 2 headed clearances. So Calafiori statistically did have a pretty big game. Giuseppe, some criticism for Luciano Spalletti, says confused coach, very confused team. Historically, Italy have always suffered with Croatia. So Italy actually has Croatia never lost against Italy preceding this match today. And they continue with that record. Croatia has been a formal footballing country since the mid-90s. So that record is not too long. And Tom mentions, as we mentioned a few minutes ago, that Calafiori will miss Switzerland, and time for Buongiorno to come in. If you know me a little bit, you might know my allegiances. I'm going to give you another name besides Buongiorno, and I think I'm going to upset a lot of people. I'm probably going to upset Lorenzo before he gets in here. Gianluca Mancini. Would he not be the guy? Do we think perhaps he's a little bit too slow? Are those some reservations? Or is it mentally? Is it up here? Is it about his attitude? People are concerned that Mancini would make some type of error, cause an unnecessary foul. He has a history, unfortunately, of scoring own goals in finals. I know that based upon the team that I typically watch. So maybe Buongiorno does step in, but Buongiorno has like zero Azzurri experience at this point, nothing tangible. I did see Mancini play in New Jersey in my home, just 10 minutes away from where I live right now, and he was great. He was great against Ecuador. Played very well, especially in a 3-man back line. Carlo Martella is here. He says tactics, strikers, etc. I'm just too ecstatic on the Azzurri to be critical at this time. Italy is like a long, exciting roller coaster. If you don't like the ride, don't get on. Excellent comment there from Carlo. It is a ride. Every tournament is never simple, especially the ones where Italy finish as the winners. Think about last time. 2 penalty shootouts back to back. Of course, the final against England. Before that is with Spain. And that one I had a good feeling. Against England, I did not have a good feeling. And when England missed that, I think that was a surprise to everybody. And I was like, you got to be kidding. Oh my gosh, that I almost passed out about. So it is a roller coaster. If we think back even to when Italy won the World Cup, that match against the USA was quite difficult. The De Rossi elbow, it looked like things were getting a little bit shaky. The match against Ukraine, the late penalty against Australia, which Francesco Totti converted. So it is a wild ride, as Carlo points out. And as Mr. Duncan Quasar says, as Judge Small says in Caddyshack, well, we're waiting. And I think that was regarding the late start with this stream. We are just still waiting on Lorenzo. Mancini gets the start. And this is before I read this comment. I'm thinking Mancini. Giacomo says Buongiorno over Mancini. 52 people. Let me know what you think, as well as throw a like up there and subscribe to our new channel here at Football Italia. Mancini reckless, Giacomo says. Alberto Pesce says, just seems to me they can't get any shots on net. This was an issue today. 3 or 4 shots on goal if I go back to the statistics. Also, I want to point out Sylvain Widmer, 31-year-old Swiss defender. He's going to be missing the match on Saturday against the Swiss. So I'll get you that shot on goal right now. 13 shots total, but only 3 on target for the Italians. But I want to say Bastoni came pretty close quite a few times. To me, I love Bastoni. Inter, he's the young leader of that back line. And don't go without mentioning Donnarumma, who is fantastic. And I don't think Italy would have even a half chance at this tournament if it wasn't for Gigi. Coming into this, look, Gigi's reputation has taken a little bit of a step back, I think, in Italy because he did choose to go to France. And sometimes we forget, we don't get to see him as much. We forget really what he's all about. But now we get to see exactly why he's still probably, would we agree that Donnarumma is the best keeper in the world? To me, he is. He's a cut above the rest. Like, he's the heir apparent. I'm not sure if you're watching Game of Thrones right now. Don't spoil the second episode for me from last night. Or was it the third episode now? Don't spoil it for me. But he's definitely the heir apparent. Couple comments coming in. Spalletti's obsession with Di Lorenzo and Jorginho. Giacomo not too hot on him. Says sit both of them next game. Tom Long wants to see Bellanova come on in. And Carlo is actually coming from Turkey today on holiday. So watching nonetheless. Bellanova, I think, deserves a shout. I think he deserves some playing time. If Spalletti called him up, look, there's situations where he should be playing, especially in a 3-5-2. Let this kid do what he's very good at. He's probably one of the fastest ones on the team. Get him going. Get him some confidence. Get him some time. I understand, hey, today was a particular match where Italy truly needed to grind out a result. You don't want to change too much, but get him in there, man. Episode 13 says, where can Italy get 2 new strikers? No, not Paolo Rossi, poor man. Retegui Albert Pesce says, there doesn't seem to be that standout player, as we've said, and I do read every single comment, that fans feel like there is no true great striker, like a Bobo Vieri, or even, to be honest with you, a Vincenzo Montella as a true goal striker, speaking of Turkey. So if we think about other guys, yes, like Paolo Rossi, through the ages, Baggio, there's no guy on this team who's scoring like 15 to 20 goals. However, we did have that for a long time. His name was Ciro Immobile. Today, a Lazio player does score the game-winning goal, but the shock is that it's not Ciro. Where has he been? For Italy, he never showed up. For Lazio, he scored so many goals. So it's like, even when you get that player, that striker who scores a ton, he might not necessarily work out for Italy. Whereas somebody like Retegui, 10 goals on the season, I think only 7 of them were in Serie A. He seems to be the guy that Spalletti trusts and who has a ton of goals. But right now, we are going to our man, Lorenzo Bettoni from the field. What's going on? Tell us everything.
Where do we start from?
Where to begin?
Where do we even begin from? It was speechless. It was just incredible, really. We didn't believe it. I think nobody believed in it. Spalletti said only the players believed in it. And he was fuming after the game. Really, there are so many things to say. Honestly, I don't even know where to start from, because there are so many things. There are so many good things and bad things that really it's hard to organize my thoughts. So I don't know what we've been talking about until now. I've just heard Spalletti's press conference. I was a little bit late, and you see, I'm outside the stadium. I was, for the pre-match, I was right on the opposite side because it was possible to be there. Now it's kind of different because they're closing up all that area. So we're here right in front of the gates, but it was an incredible night. I was already. I was already checking tomorrow's games and see, all right, we need to keep an eye on this match and this match, because if this team scores one more goal, then they go +1 or -1 goal difference, so we may go out. And then that Zaccagni goal was incredible, but probably even more impressive was what Calafiori did, building up that goal. It was truly impressive. It was an incredible move. I have to say the overall performance was a little bit confusing, was a little bit shaky. We thought we wouldn't make it, but in the end we did it, and it was a big one. And we go to face Switzerland in the round of 16 on Saturday in Berlin.
It seemed like it would have been the end of the world if Italy did not score that goal. And I'm almost worried for how many people in Italy, Australia, Canada, the Americas, like how many people actually fainted and passed out when Zaccagni scored that goal. I think it was quite a few.
It was no, it was. I mean, as soon as he hit the ball, I was on the opposite side basically. But as soon as he hit the ball, I was like, It's getting in." Well,
Did it
no,
kind of
no
look?
way, it's getting in. It's getting in from
It
the
kind
very
of
first
looked
moment
like
he hit the ball, and it was outstanding goal. It was quality. It was truly amazing, truly amazing. There's a lot to talk about. Again, there is not only positives, there are a lot of negatives from this performance. Spalletti said some of those. He raged at a Sky journalist. He said he was unhappy with the team's quality. He said during the press conference as well. He said that the team made too many errors. There were too many duels they lost. So he wasn't entirely happy, especially with the starters. But he was very happy with the substitutes, with the reserves, with those who came off the bench. I have to say, I mean, I partially agree. I didn't really like any of our strikers tonight. I didn't like Retegui or Raspadori or Scamacca. I liked Chiesa when he was put in. Of course, Zaccagni, but even Scamacca seemed a little bit low in confidence. I don't know what you think about his performance. Fratesi, of course, the impact was terrible because you can say that penalty kick was a clear handball. So yeah, of course, I mean the reserves, the substitutes, they did a good job, but there is a lot Italy need to talk about after this performance because any opponent can be tricky if we play like this.
Yeah, you had mentioned that Spalletti was fuming, and I think it was to this comment from a reporter who asked him about his choices and the decisions and his tactics, and said if your tactics are too timid, if they're holding back too much, hey, and Spalletti did not have a good reaction to that, right?
No, yeah, pretty much the same thing happened in the post-match press conference. The first question was whether the 3-5-2, the initial lineup, was the result of of any certain agreement, a patto, he called it in Italian, the reporter, which is a pact, let's say, between the players and the coach. And he was absolutely not happy with that question. Spalletti, he said, "Of course, I talk to my players. Of course, I need to speak to them to agree on the lineup." But he told the journalist, "I know somebody told you." He said, "I know somebody told you, and whoever told you is not doing a good thing for the national team because there is an internal environment, there is an external environment, and
Yeah.
whoever told you about this conversation we had is not doing a good job for the national team." So he was absolutely unhappy. Um, Really, whatever he had in his chest, he just took it off, and he was really not happy with the journalists. There were a couple of other times where he said that he didn't like the analysis on the after the defeat against Spain. He said that the team was mocked in an Italian way, probably a little bit ruder than just mocked, which you can imagine if you're familiar with Italian language. And yeah, it was really unhappy. I mean, I can understand the frustration. I can understand the rage that he has inside. But to be fair, I didn't see a unbalanced coverage or unbalanced opinions on the national team. I mean, of course, there were criticism. There were criticism because we didn't have a single shot on target against Spain. And to be fair, we had one shot on target before Zaccagni's goal tonight. So there are questions that are still unanswered for Italy and for Spalletti. But of course, as we said in the pre-match show, if he ended the game with a draw and with less ball possession than Croatia, he would be happy, and he was indeed very happy.
Yeah, so he's not exactly answering the question. He's kind of saying, like, how dare you? Why would you ask me that? How can you undermine Italy and what we're trying to do here? But ultimately you are a coach and you have to respond to the public. But did the reporter lack respect, or was it more like not trying to create any controversy? Was it just like, were we too timid? Literally, like plain.
Yeah, but in that regard, I think Spalletti agreed with the analysis. I mean, he said that we were too timid. He said we lose too many duels. For example, when there is a long ball from Donnarumma or there's a throw in, we just not strong enough. We just don't go there and trying to win the duel. We lose too many duels, and so he was unhappy. And I have to say, the reaction from Spalletti was really furious, but it's understandable. I mean, it was a night of great tension. So again, whatever I had inside, I just wanted to vent and take it all out. And
Yeah, Spalletti
journalists are
gets
always
fired up.
in the front row, so it's understandable that he rages at them. It's not entirely fair, but it's not the first time, so it's okay. But for sure, there are going to be a lot of talks about these Spalletti reactions over the next few days.
That goal Zaccagni scored, it's very similar to a goal that we remember from 2006, Mr. Alex Del Piero. It kind of gives you a shiver, goosebumps, the brividi inside of you when you see just how similar that tiragir, that curling effort to the opposite corner was. It's remarkably similar, guys, for everybody who's watching too. I don't know if you instantly thought, oh my gosh, that's Del Piero's goal against Germany.
Yeah, in the group chat we have with the guys working with me on the site, they said the same thing. We got the Piero flavors here, and even Zaccagni said in his post-match interview that, as we see here, Del Piero was my idol. So yeah, Del Piero flavor was all over, and this goal was, I mean, important is an understatement, really, because tomorrow would have been a terrible day for Italy, analyzing the defeat and then waiting on the other team's results. It would have been a heavy day. It's going to taste entirely different tomorrow. But again, we need to analyze very well what happened on the pitch, what we must improve, because Italy still don't seem to have a very clear identity, a very clear playing style. And it's I wrote in the player ratings that it feels like the game against Albania was played like 3 years ago, and it was just less than 2 weeks ago. It was 10 days ago, and I mean the feelings we had are very very different from that night, because it was a very promising night. We played good football. We kept the ball. This time it was different. Spalletti is right when he says that. It was the group of death. He said, he told journalists, you are the one saying this was the group of death. So you should know how tough it would have been to come out of this group, and it was hard. He said it was hard even to qualify for the Euros, because we faced Ukraine, who had a good team in the qualifiers. We faced England, who are a top side. So in a way, he defended his team and his work. On the other side of the coin is that um, he blamed them. He blamed them because sometimes they don't have quality, or at least they don't show the entire quality they have, and other times they're not strong enough. They don't win enough duels, and so he was unhappy for this reason. But it was some mixed reactions from Spalletti. But we're going to discuss this further over the next few days, because it's going to be a huge talking point.
Do you think Spalletti will now look at his decision to not start Chiesa and not just regret it, but moving forward, he's going to say, actually, I need this type of player in whatever formation, whatever type of tactic or setup that I have? Does Chiesa come back to the start?
Yes, probably yes, sir. But I would argue that tonight he had a different attitude. Like, he didn't have the same attitude that we saw against Spain.
Yeah.
He entered the pitch and he wanted to show that he was capable of doing it. He wanted to show that he could make a difference for Italy.
Perhaps that's what he needed.
yeah, perhaps was what he needed. So I don't blame Spalletti for leaving Chiesa on the bench, because if we manage to make it, I mean, if we manage to get this draw, it's because Chiesa had this reaction, and because he was able to go on the pitch and prove that he didn't deserve to go on the bench.
There's
So it's not entirely a wrong decision, in my opinion.
Now this opens the door for Zaccagni as well. I don't think anyone thought Zaccagni would have a big role in this tournament. But given the quality he just showed, like how can you, I don't want to say how can you leave him out, but at the same time, he makes a good case for himself to become a starter as well. So maybe this also changes Spalletti's thoughts and it makes his job definitely a little bit harder. We can agree to that, right?
Yeah, but this is one of the unanswered questions. I mean, Chiesa and Zaccagni play together. That's fine, okay. But in which system? For
In
sure,
which
they can't start both in 3-5-2. 100% no. They can start in 4-3-3, but
yeah,
again tonight it was Spalletti picked a different formation. So Italy haven't solved all their problems. They are through the group stage. They are in the round of 16, but they have a lot of things to fix. They have many things to fix. So it's still a long way. Now, luckily, we have. Now it's in here. It's Tuesday already. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday we play at 6 p.m. local time. So so there will be things that Spalletti will have to think about. There will be assessments that he has to make. For sure, Chiesa is one of those players who he will probably struggle to leave on the pitch again. But I'd be very surprised, for example, if Zaccagni starts the next game, unless, of course, he picks a 4-3-3 formation and then he goes with two natural wingers. You go with two wingers, one striker, four defenders. That's it. You got it. So I mean, it all depends to the system, I think.
it does depend on system, and hopefully that whatever he chooses to do, I think he's going to be emphasizing creativity, because Spalletti says in the banner here, he says there's no denying it. We're below our usual level in the first half. If we don't create very much, we're not going to score. And it doesn't take a philosopher of football to understand that. But now as we look how to be more direct, how to put pressure on the opponent's back line, Switzerland are strong. They just held Germany to a 1-1 draw. But they're not a top tier team. So now you have to create against a team who might come in a little afraid. And by being afraid, they may sit a little deeper. They may look to just hit on the counterattack. They know Italy has talented players. They're not going to be foolish. So that creativity, could that come from Zaccagni on one wing and Chiesa on the other? How do you get them to combine with the center forward? Does Jorginho definitely still plays a role? But I'm almost thinking like, and I don't think he regrets it, but why didn't Locatelli have any type of influence in this team? Because it seems like compared to Euro 2020, just only 3 years ago, they are kind of missing that guy. I think Jorginho is good to a certain level, but like what Pirlo offered, he doesn't really give too much creativity. He's able to like balance things out, but not necessarily make this driving long range pass, which bypasses the midfield and the back line. Like a key pass, I think is the word I'm looking for. He's not particularly good with key passes. He's just a tempo guy. Or am I being too unfair? Can Jorginho still be that guy in a creative midfield? Can he be the guy who pulls the strings, Lorenzo?
I think it's the only option, unless
That's what I'm afraid of.
I mean, in this team for sure is the only option.
Yeah.
Wait, to be fair, I saw a comments a few minutes ago, which is not entirely wrong. Fagioli can be the man who replaces Jorginho if you want more creativity, if you want to be a little more, play vertical football with a few more through balls. Fagioli is probably the only option that Spalletti has, and I think it was the reason why he was picked over Locatelli, because we saw Locatelli this season at Juventus. He's a good player, but he's an entirely different player from what he was 3 years ago when Italy won the Euros.
Yeah.
He wasn't a deep line playmaker. He wasn't a pure regista back then, and he's not a pure regista now. He was playing in a different position, and he was making the difference somehow. Not like big difference, but he scored 2 goals. I think probably
Yeah.
against Switzerland in the first in the second game of Euro 2020. So he was a different sort of player. This season he's been playing as a deep line playmaker, but it's not his position. It is Fagioli's position, and the signs for Fagioli were pretty promising tonight. I think again the choice to pick, picking Jorginho was appropriate, was right. I think because when you face a midfield with experienced guys like Modric, Kovacic, and Brozovic, you need to have somebody who can match their experience. You need somebody who's not scared to face them. Not saying that Fagioli would be scared, but you need to rely on some experienced guys. I think maybe uh, maybe from the next game. I mean, the only option he has if he doesn't want to play Jorginho is Fagioli, unless he wants to play already Barella as a deep line playmaker or a little deeper in central midfield. But I think it's still a little bit early. Maybe towards the end of his career, Barella can play in that position, but at the moment, it's probably a little bit early.
Like perhaps in a way, like how Mkhitaryan has his role has been changed, a little deeper, less offensive. I think that is one quality of Barella's game that's not completely rated, is his vision, is his long-range pass. But you, as well as a few other people here, like Mike, Marto, they seem pretty optimistic on Fagioli. They like what he brings. People seem to like that he's a little bit different in his game.
Yeah. I mean, he is. He played. I think he played pretty well. I didn't really give him a rating tonight because he played just for 15 minutes, including the adding time. So it was a little bit harsh to give him the same rating of somebody who has played for 80 minutes or 70 minutes or even 35 minutes. But I think we saw some good signs. He showed some good personality, and Italy were pushing, trying to score that vital goal, and they contributed to that. Of course, Calafiori played an immense role. I mean, that run forward, that dribbling, that pass was worthy of a number 10, really. And again, we say what we said at the beginning of our journey here, when before leaving for Germany in Coverciano, when we were attending a training session, Calafiori was deployed as a number 10. It was in a 12 against 12 game. It was a training session open just for 15 minutes to the media. 12 against 12, all the players that Spalletti had available because Barella was out, and he was the extra man in the team playing as a number 10. So it's something that Spalletti had foreseen, the possibility of having a player like him, of having exactly him in that position of the pitch at some moment to run forward and bring that unpredictability that would cause trouble and create numerical advantage and ultimately score goal for Italy. And this is what happened.
He became the trequartista. I did not see that coming. He was asked. He was asked in the interview after the match where he got the energy from, and he was like, "Honestly, I just don't know." So it's incredible, really, to make a give and go pass from the halfway line, receive it back, make the run, then make the perfect layoff. Like, bro, respect, honestly.
Yeah. Really, and it's good because the goal it's the goal we conceded is partially on him and Bastoni, because Bastoni didn't jump, he just went down, he didn't go for the header. So Calafiori was probably a little bit surprised as well. He didn't win the aerial duel. Gigio had another amazing save, but then they scored again on the rebound. So the defense wasn't exactly great tonight. A few individual errors, but that late effort was priceless. Really incredible from Calafiori.
Yeah, that definitely. If his market value went down just a little bit, I think now it went up like 5 times 5.
Yeah.
So
You need a defender, you need a left back, you need a central midfielder, trequartista. Just buy Calafiori.
yeah, I don't know if the management at Juventus is happy or upset right now, if we're to believe the media and what's going on with his impending transfer to wherever he'll be going. But Carlos says, if we break it all down, making no big changes to personal or tactics, it will take a lucky goal to beat Italy, as we've already shown. And I think there is some truth to that. Whereas Italy have not been that impressive offensively, but defensively, they have been organized. And I would say that one of Italy's biggest offensive threat has actually been their two center backs with Bastoni and Calafiori. So that's pretty remarkable, even though that Italy has changed its philosophy and how they utilize these center backs. We still see that, as history has shown, the Italian center back duo, or trident in this case, has proven to be the pillar of this team. And of course, Gigi Donnarumma, who had one of the finest matches that I've seen from any keeper in recent history.
Yeah, I mean, Gigi was impressive.
Yeah, we spoke about you and I. Like he goes out to France. Sometimes people forget he's at PSG. He doesn't face too many shots. This and this that, right? But Gigi is still world class. I think he's probably the best in the world.
Don't know if it's the best in the world, but is surely among the top 3 or top 5. I mean, it was the best player of the tournament 3 years ago when we won the Euros. And again, so far he's been the best player for Italy at Euro 2024. So 100% top class, 100% the best player for us so far. I mean, the save on Modric, the atmosphere, there was so much pressure. I mean, more than half of the stadium supported Croatia. They were singing for the whole game. It was an incredible atmosphere, really. It was so loud. It was impressive, the show they put on Croatian fans. We didn't care. We just didn't care. He was in front of Modric. He saved the easiest thing in the world for him. And he was fuming when Modric scored on the rebound. 30 seconds later, he was absolutely crazy with his teammates. He was jumping and shouting to everyone because, again, it's what Spalletti said. We didn't win enough duels, and it was clear in that situation. And really, I couldn't describe how Donnarumma reacted to that goal, because he was really jumping and shouting to everyone.
It was like just one of those moments. I think that if you watched it live, you're just never going to forget it. It's too beautiful of a goal. It's too remarkable as a moment. Guys, you can keep the comments coming in as well. We're really very appreciative of everybody taking their time to come in. We've got Giacomo from White House Station, and that's actually not too far from where I am in New Jersey, maybe about under an hour. But AC Unico Capitano, who is one of our usuals here, and hope everyone out there becomes a usual, says, Gigione's penalty save reminded me of Buffon's against Romania in Euro 2008. Gigi today comes up with, I mean, if you had 10 players to take a penalty, Modric is probably one of them. But if you had only 3 keepers that you could choose to save that penalty, Donnarumma is definitely in there in that top 3. So today he read him like a book, makes an excellent save. Then, of course, Croatia score a few minutes later, but it just shows you what he's capable of. And we've got a lot of support coming in, Lorenzo, from the United States, Indiana. Mr. Duncan Quasar, good to see you guys. And yeah, you can keep letting us know where you're coming in from. Very cool.
And you know what's funny about Donnarumma and penalty kicks? We remember, I mean, we know he's a great penalty kick saver because, he saved penalty kicks against Spain and against England in the shootouts in Euro 2020. But actually, the first penalty kick save he made for Italy in a game, so not in the shootouts, but in the actual game during the actual 90 minutes, was just a match in the US in the 2-1 win against Venezuela when Retegui scored twice. That save.
How do you remember that?
It was the first time. I remember because they asked him. They said, it's the first time you actually saved the penalty during the 90 minutes, and he didn't even know that. He said, no, I didn't. So it was pretty remarkable because he didn't even know. So tonight was the second time you actually saved the penalty during the 90 minutes, and they couldn't have chosen a better moment, I guess.
Lorenzo, you continue to amaze me, but also almost equally amazing. We have people coming in. Dionigi from Australia, he got up very early. Says Forza Italia. JSK from Canada. I wonder where in. Maybe Toronto, maybe Edmonton. I know there's an Italian population out there. Also, shout out Edmonton today. I think I'm supporting Edmonton in the Stanley Cup final. But back to Raffaello, who says Zaccagni goal reminded me of ADP versus Mexico in 2002, actually, because of the circumstances. And then says, alla fine. So
I didn't even remember that goal and that game, but it's actually true.
I tried to block out 2002 from. I used to wake up at like 3:30 in the morning and watch those games. And but Raphael is joining us from Scotland, right? Scotia, and JSK
All right, cool.
from Calgary, JSK. So I don't think he'll be supporting Edmonton tonight, but maybe unifying Canada. You guys haven't won a Stanley Cup in 30 years. Maybe you'll break the cycle today, break the record. Duncan Quasar says, a question for both of us. Would a manager like Gattuso be better for a group like this? Maybe not Gattuso, but someone with that kind of like strong, headstrong, like let's go kill them type of personality. The way that Gattuso is kind of gives you a kick in the butt if you don't go out and perform. Would Italy be better with somebody like that? I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to say short term, yes. Long term, no. And Italy is in need of a long-term manager who can fix things. We have failed to qualify for the 2 last World Cups. Some will say we got lucky the last Euro tournament. I think Italy was very good. But there is a systemic issue throughout Italy, and I think Spalletti is the guy. And I could already see people disagreeing with that. What do you think, Lorenzo?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's. Spalletti in its time, guys. He wants to create his own philosophy. He wants to play his brand of football. It's been a little bit confusing so far in the Euros, I have to say. I mean, we played very well against Albania. We tried to put the same kind of performance against Spain. We didn't make it. We were half and half tonight. At some point, it looked like we were just sitting back and wait, but we knew we wouldn't play that way for the whole game. We said at the beginning, we said in the pre-match show, we said don't expect to sit back and just think that we're going just to wait for the draw because it's not going to happen. Spalletti doesn't want that. So I think he's the right man, but we need to be patient because he's been in charge for 10 months. He's been in charge for 13 or 14 games. He has a few key players out. Think about Berardi, think about Zaniolo, think about even Acerbi, who would have been pretty strong in a three-man defense. So in its time, but about this Gattuso thing, last week I went once to the Casa Azzurri in Iserlohn for a press conference of Damian, and I was talking to a few colleagues, and we were wondering how, for example, a coach like Jose Mourinho or Max Allegri would do in a major international tournament like this, because at the club level, everyone feels like they're gone. They passed the prime. They have nothing more to say, basically. But in tournaments like this, when you don't really to believe in anything in tournament like this. I mean, you don't create the team's shape or a country's mentality in an 8-game tournament. You just want to go out there and win, as we did 3 years ago, or as we did in 2006. You don't set up your playing style. Either you come here after a long journey and you're here with your identity and with your playing style. But if in this case you don't have enough time to do that, you just have to come here and fight on every ball and try to win games. And so we were wondering whether coaches like Mourinho or Allegri would suit this sort of project. Not necessarily Italy. Not we didn't talk about Italy. We were just talking randomly, just football chats,
I think
imagining how Mourinho, he was in talks with Portugal last year. So we were just talking about this, and probably it would be a it would be a good option for some countries.
I think it is the right manager if you have a decent squad, a decent group who have been together a long time, and you just need to grind out those results. But I think if you take that manager like Allegri or Gattuso or Max, that wouldn't be good for Italy for the future. I don't think
No,
that.
probably not. Probably not. In fact, I mean, I was thinking about so many things during the game because, as we said, we were imagining which games we would need to watch tomorrow night, and just hope somebody would score or would win, or wouldn't score or wouldn't win. So there were so many things crossing our minds, and one of those things to me was, of course, imagining the coverage that a third place finish or even a potential elimination would have in the Italian media. And I was thinking for sure somebody would have said, all right, Spalletti needs to go now.
Yeah,
But even if Italy were eliminated, I wouldn't have sacked Spalletti because, I mean, he's been here for 10 months, and we can't expect him to just come and solve all problems or come to a major tournament and win it. It can happen. It could have happened to go out in such a strong group with Croatia, with a talented team like Albania, with an experienced team like Croatia. Spain, of course, they won the group, but they won tonight, right? So 9 points, three
yes,
victories in 3 games. So it would have been disappointed, but it wouldn't have been something to like a defining moment for
no,
Spalletti's time with the national team in its time. In its
way
time,
too
of course,
reactionary.
if we go to the World Cup qualifiers, we don't qualify again. There's things that we need to think about, but you can't just decide on the future of a coach who's been in charge for 10 months from 3 games.
Definitely. I agree that even if it was worst case scenario, you keep Spalletti on, you let him work his system, let the players get familiar with him a little bit more, and then we look towards World Cup qualification. As we look around a couple more of these opinions, there's not so much optimism. So I think that Baresi and a few others definitely agree with us. And let's not talk about any changes of managers just yet. So Italy still has
No, of
that
course,
chance
of
to be
course.
protagonist. Italy can still do well in this tournament. Look, if you get past, I think if you get past Switzerland, it just opens up. Anything can happen after that. And everybody knows that. It just
Yeah,
becomes
and
a game.
again, regardless of tonight's result, he's been in charge for just 10 months, so he needs time, and I think it's understandable. Of course, it's disappointing, and of course, we all thought that the tactics were confusing, and we all know that we didn't equalize because we followed a path, because we followed the game plan. We just equalized because we really wanted it, because we were there, and we wanted to score. And as Calafiori said, we didn't think about it. We just went there, tried to win the ball, tried to pass it to the free man, and the free man um, made an incredible shot and put it in the
Yeah,
in the far post and scored. So
made the
it
goal of
was
his life.
it wasn't planned like some things that happen in football in the final minutes. You can't plan everything, and sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not lucky. This time we were lucky,
Really lucky.
but I think overall we deserve to go through.
Agreed. And now Italy will come up with an issue. Spalletti will have this tactical issue 3-5-2 versus the 4-3-3. I think that the offense is better with the three-man attack and the three-man midfield. The defense and DiMarco definitely improves and definitely is more comfortable with the 3-5-2. So we see that there's an issue. There's an irony going on where, well, this is better with this, but this is better with that. And that's a conflict that I don't think is yet resolved. I don't know if DiMarco can hang on as a true left back. Maybe, but defensively, his first 2 games were not great. Today, we saw him a bit more comfortable. I thought he looked a bit better. So the DeMarco question is still out there. Giacomo brings up an interesting fact here. Next match is in Berlino, where it was won in 2006. If I was Spalletti, he says, I would show the boys the video of the final before the match to get them pumped up. That's a nice idea, Giacomo. We might write that one in.
Yeah, knowing Spalletti, he may probably do it as well. I mean, of course, we know it's a special place for all Italians. It's a place we remember so well. So of course going to Berlin is going to be thrilling. But again, we know Switzerland hurt us already. Talking about the World Cup, we know what happened a couple of years ago against Switzerland with penalties, with games, with they have a lot of players who we know really well, from Bologna, Freuler, Ndoye, Ebischer. They have a solid team. Jan Sommer, of course. They have a solid team. They're very organized. They know each other they've known each other for a long time, contrary to us. And you saw tonight what happened against a team that has more experience than us and that has been playing together for longer than us. It's not something that we should underestimate. So we play in Berlin, all right, but we play against a team that I wouldn't say has nothing to lose, because against us, all right, they lost quite badly in the Euros 3 years ago, but then they took their revenge with that World Cup qualifiers. So um, on paper, Italy are favorite, but there is more behind Italy being favorite.
There's more to it. And there's also a very good center midfielder who had an undefeated season until Atalanta had something to say about it with Granit Xhaka. So they've got their guys.
Yep.
Freuler is there, somebody who also was very good with Atalanta over the last several years. For Freuler, he is now with he's with Bologna, actually. Yes,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
transferred. So he's a guy who will know the Italian talent well, the Italian players, and how they're going to come out. So there's a familiarity, almost like how Albania had a familiarity. So many of their players played in Serie A. So sometimes we think, oh, it's going to be like this. Switzerland's going to be, they're going to be easy. We're going to go through them. And it's not exactly so, because these players are smarter than you might think. So Tom Long thinks that Italy stick with a 3-5-2, or should stick with the 3-5-2, but then have Scamacca and Chiesa, not Raspadori, up top. I don't think I
Yeah,
would start Raspadori again. I think I messed up by saying that.
but then with Chiesa, uh, you have to leave him to give him freedom. We know he doesn't like to play in the center, in the middle. He likes to stay wide, and we saw it tonight as well when he entered the
Yeah,
pitch. He played a little bit on the right, but he played mostly on the left then. So uh, it's the dilemma here with Chiesa, because he's definitely one of he's probably Italy's most talented outfield player, but at the same time, is not a player who can easily fit in a 3-5-2 system, which is probably the more natural system for the current Italian players. So
right.
the idea, what I wrote a few after the Atalanta win against Leverkusen, was that Italy could copy that Atalanta system with 3-4-2-1, with the attack being, of course, Scamacca, the same striker for Atalanta and Italy, and then Chiesa being a little similar to Lukman. He's a little bit of a winger, a little bit of a centre forward, a little bit of support striker. To try to play in that kind of position where he starts wide, or sometimes like he starts wide, he cuts inside, or sometimes he goes closer to Scamacca to give him more options. We don't have a De Ketelaere on the other side of the attack, but probably, I don't know, Pellegrini or Frattesi, of course, they have different skill sets, but I don't know that they could be an option in there. But for sure, you need to, if you want to use Chiesa and three defenders, you need to invent something and to do something tactically, because Chiesa doesn't like to play as a center forward in 3-5-2. He likes to stay
Right.
wide.
So we have these questions heading into the next match, heading into the round of 16. Tactics, mental state of the players, how are we going to fit them in? How are we going to get Chiesa back into the starting lineup? Will other players, maybe who we haven't seen, Gatti, Bellanova, will they step in? El Shaarawy? So I think we definitely have questions leading us into our episode, our pre-stream on Saturday. And that will be with
Yeah,
your host.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
So
There's a lot to say. Again, we play Saturday 29 at 6 p.m. against Switzerland in Berlin. So that's the round of 16 set for Italy.
Lorenzo,
Nothing more to say, really.
you're going to be
I
there,
mean,
right?
yeah. I'm going home and sending the accreditation and the accreditation request, of course. Hoping to get it. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight. So I'm going to review all the reactions. I'm going to read everything. So probably I'll still be awake tomorrow morning for another live stream.
Perfect. Guys, you let us know what you thought about this episode too in the comments on YouTube, not just on the comments here. Please let us know how you're liking our stream so far. Lorenzo is doing an incredible job live from Germany. This has been so cool. Very different type of thing. I can't think of anyone else who's doing this type of project, having someone live on the scene. And we're getting love from Carlos as live show. Ciao from Turkey. Excellent. See you guys on Saturday. Grazie mille. Giacomo, loved it. Giacomo, you guys very kind. Cap and Curls, also, buongiorno will deputize. Okay. Like to see Scamacca, Chiesa, Raspadori. So, and if you can, throw a like up there and subscribe to this channel and help us get it to keep growing. Okay. Lorenzo, any last words?
Just see you soon and try to sleep, guys, but it won't be easy.
Yeah, try to sleep. No espresso. It's too late. Ciao.
Ciao.